Yeah, are we looking for the light all the time? You know what I mean?
I think so.
All the time. Do you like a little darkness in your life?
Do I like darkness?
What I mean, if we're always looking for light, do you think we never find or never look for darkness, or do we just try not to strive for darkness?
Well, I'll say this, and I can only speak for myself, is that whenever I look towards darkness, and I think we can apply this to everything, really. When I look for darkness, it's for the purpose. I think that the darkness will bring light eventually.
Okay.
Like we can even throw this in with we can even talk about doing drugs. We can say that heroin, meth, hard drugs that people go towards, we can say that that's going towards darkness.
Yes.
But whenever someone does that, what are they really chasing?
Well, I feel like an escape
Right. From what?
life.
From life? Because life and problems at that moment probably feel what?
Dark.
Right.
Yeah.
So like I think that everything that people do, even if it may not seem like it, is just a search for that light. It's the whole towards pleasure and away from pain thing. Like human beings don't like pain. Like for example, we can even say that working out, that's a form of darkness for the body. It's painful. It hurts. It's like it's tiring and you can get really worn out. But in going towards the dark, you I think that's a good way to go towards the dark. I think like all things there's a good there's that balance. Like going into the darkness of a workout brings you to the light of health.
Hmm.
Um what else? Going into the darkness of potentially facing rejection when going up to that cute girl. Like going up to her, it could potentially lead to darkness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that yeah, I do think I mean no one I don't think any humans want to suffer, but I do think that there is this thing which is good for us, which could be intentional suffering.
Hmm.
It's like I said, going to the gym, going up to that pretty girl across the room, or even like example that you told me, which is like being bored. That doesn't feel like super light,
Hmm.
but what's the payoff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I get that because the craziest or one of the like if you try to explain that to someone that doesn't go to the gym, like, oh, the gym is a magical place. It's super good for you. Like, it's super fun. Like when I've done it for a couple months now or a couple years, when I do it, I'm like, hey, that's really cool. We should do this more often. Like, come on, like just go to the gym. And then, but like to that person, they're like, the gym, like that's like the worst place to be. I'm gonna feel judged. I'm gonna feel exactly where I'm at on my like you know um, cardio,
Progress.
yeah, progress and everything like that. And it's like it's gonna tell you exactly where you're at, right? And so obviously the people that haven't started or are barely starting kind of hate it because it's like they're like they don't see the long term benefits, right? Because it doesn't start right away the first 3 days. They're gonna feel judged. They're gonna feel weird. They're gonna feel like it's something new, something that they don't understand. And I feel like that's a big thing when it comes to humans. It's like when we don't understand something, we just freak out, anxiety, stay in our comfort zone.
Mm.
So like in doing that, and then going up to a girl, definitely not the easiest thing to do. It's like I feel like even the most cleverest people or the most handsomest people still probably find it hard, maybe less hard than we find it, like I can feel like I can make it as like the gym. Like now I don't find doing like a bench press is hard, but I'm not at, or every single time I feel like it's effortless. You know what I mean? It's like you still got to put in that work. You still have to feel those feelings. So like even with a girl, I don't think it's super easy and like it's never the same. Although the gym is like somewhat similar most of the time. Sometimes you get some variation, but like most of the time it's once you find the rhythm, you kind of got it. But with girls, I feel like it's every single time. It's like it's a new learning experience.
Right, right. Going up to girls, it's one of those things where, well, I don't want to say it doesn't get any easier, but it's pretty nerve wracking every time. I think. Well, I'll say this: when I first came to Charlotte, so I went through a period of time where like my game was shit, and I believe that it's because like I was so wrapped up by my thoughts, like the beliefs that I had about myself at the time, which was like, oh, I'm weird, or I'm or like I'm instant, right? Not even that I'm weird, but like, oh, they're gonna think that I'm weird, or they're gonna think that I'm thirsty, or like they're gonna think that I'm being creepy, and it's like I remember the story. So when I first came here, like I said, my game wasn't very good, and I this is when I started getting into like we can say going into darkness, like going into the uncomfortable things to do. It's so stupid. But I was like, I just so what I wanted to do was I just wanted to like go up to girls and just get that out of the way. Just do the approach and whatever I say is whatever I say. And I was like, what? I don't know. I go to this when I do it for the first time. I'm like, what do I say? And the first thing that comes to my mind is like, I go to a group of girls and I'm like, hey guys, I have a question. If a strawberry were to fight each other to the death, who would win?
I think you told me this one because it was something like about a pickle too. Was there a pickle involved?
There was one pickle involved, yeah, the entire time. But
But what did they say to that?
okay, honestly, so this goes into the whole. This is what started to break down like those walls, those
Okay.
those limiting beliefs. Was that in doing the uncomfortable thing, like we can even say like in doing this podcast, we've like already overcome like some. We see how wrong our thoughts are.
Yeah.
So I would go up to some girls and I'd be nervous, but sometimes they would be super receptive. Like I remember this one time I went up to these talking fast right now. I remember this one time I went up to this pair of girls who were just sitting at the bar, and I was like, and I go over there and I go talk to them, and they actually were like, they looked at each other like, I feel like a strawberry would win. And then like the other girl would be like, yeah, I feel like a strawberry. And then like I just thought off the rip, I was like, okay, good, because if you guys would have said cherry, I would have thought you guys are really weird. Actually, no, it wasn't a cherry, it was a grape. I said a strawberry and a grape before
Okay.
they were to fight each other. But the thing is that it wouldn't really go anywhere afterwards. You know?
That's a good hook. You know.
You said what?
That's a good hook. You know what I mean? Like,
You think so?
I mean, I think it's like an icebreaker, and it involves thinking. Like it involves them to think, and so that puts a lot of not a lot of pressure on them, but it takes away from the pressure of you're getting their number to it's more like let me ask this question. So it's I think it uses maybe a different way of thinking instead of being like anxiety because both parties when someone goes up to somebody it's like kind of nerve wracking no matter if you're getting approached or they're approaching you. So the fact that you're kind of not pushing it away, but putting the attention towards a question that you can answer without feeling awkward if you say no or yes. It's like who the fuck gives a fuck if it's a cherry or a grape or if it's a watermelon or banana. You're getting like that tension away. So I did that kind of help you with that. Is that something that happened?
Well, I'll tell you what. This is what's funny about that is that with that same pair that I noticed or that I went up to, it's so funny, and I've realized it's about approaching girls. Is you wanna like kind of time out when you would ask for their names because it's like I don't know if it's just those two girls. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I take back what I was going to say. I was going to say that there were no girls that I like really created anything with that. I would say I think I probably made it a goal of mine to approach like five girls or five groups of girls a night, and I think I did it like for like maybe a few times. But with that first group of girls, that first pair, it's like we go through the question and we kind of talk about it and we're laughing, and then I'm like, I'm Isaac, and they kind of like look at each other. It may have been my energy because like, or it may not have been, but the way that I see it is like the moment that you ask like I'm Isaac, it's like, oh, it's like that's like a way of me working my way in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And like I've discovered that like girls, well, there's as my brother likes to say, there's a thousand ways to skin a cat. Like if you approach the girl with the right energy, with the smile, and say, "What's up, I'm Isaac." Some girls who were like, maybe was looking at you, she could be really into it. But I'm maybe this is like a bar thing, or maybe this is like a just in general thing. But I just noticed that girls are much more receptive if you just like have a conversation about nothing with them first, and then you like ask their name. Because me personally, I feel like when you approach a girl and you're just like straight up, "Hey, I'm Isaac," it's like the way that I perceive it, I think that they always think that, oh, okay, he's like trying to, you know, there's no mystery to that. It's like kind of like a giveaway almost. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have like an approach method you like?
Well, I haven't used it. I haven't used that muscle in a while. Um, there was one good one that I'm trying to think about. That like it worked and like I was like kind of proud on that one, but it's not coming to me right now. If you want to continue on this topic while I think about it.
Yeah, it's okay. And as I'm thinking about this, I have realized, like I said, well, there's not. I don't think there's one solid way
No, definitely not.
into how you like can pick up. There's not like this one um, fits all
Right? No.
for approaching women. Because I'm thinking back, I'm like, you know what, like I have gone up to girls and I just like was like straight up like you're beautiful,
Yeah.
and she's like, oh my god, thank you, and then like and I'm Isaac, and then like and I'm realizing just in saying this, like I'm kind of rehearsing it with myself again. It's not about what you say;
Mm.
it's about how you say it.
Yeah.
Like for example, you and I could go to different girls or even the same girl and say the exact same thing, but if body language and how it comes off, it's like you can be like all confident and like, yo, what's up? I'm Isaac. How's it going? Or I'm Andrew. How are you doing tonight? And she really feels that. And then I'm like, hey, I'm Isaac, and I'm not like good in the eye. I'm like, how you doing tonight? Like that's not gonna.
Right.
It's how you like. It's that energy that you bring to it.
That actually made me think about an example that I used a long time ago. And I feel like it goes back to what you're saying about it's not about what you do, it's about how you do it and like to have that energy and confidence. Um, this was probably like I don't know when it was, but it probably sometime last year. But my cousin and I were at the bars, and you know, I was just chilling at the bar, ordering a drink, and I think my cousin was in the restroom or something. But I saw this girl look at me, and I'm like, okay, I already know those. There's just like that look that you have, and some people say that's all a myth, but I definitely think it's true.
That's
You
not a myth.
you feel it, you just feel it, and like I do the same thing to girls too. So it's like it's a two-way street. It's not just like oh girls do that or guys do that. It's like when there's like that connection, and you're just like yep. So,
Mm-hmm.
but she was like about two or three people away from me, and it was like a packed ass crowd. And so I'm like there holding my drink, and as soon as she looked at me again, I said, like, "Get over here," you know what I mean? Like she's like
Yeah.
me, and I was like, "Yep." And like I feel like the fact that I stood my ground and like didn't fold under pressure, you know what I mean? Like where I feel like at first like they would be like me, you'd be like yeah, you over there, or something like that. No, you, like, bro, no. I'm like, I looked her dead in the eyes and I said, no, you get over here.
Nice.
And
Nice.
I feel like that has worked as one of my examples. So, and I didn't say anything to be honest. And then I just, as soon as she got there, like I just kind of said, "Hey, what's your name?" And we just started talking, and it just flowed because I think we were just both into each other. So
Yeah. How nice is that?
it feels nice. Yeah, no, it feels nice when like y'all both just understand. Like when there's not even like a forceful, that not forceful, but like there's not like tension. There's not like she ain't feeling it, you're not feeling it. It's just like straight up like this is cool. You know what I mean? Like there's
Right.
conversation, the conversation's flowing. Y'all doing your little eye contact, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah. It's like you're not trying to make it happen. It's just happening.
just happening. You're being again going back to present, being just
Mm.
alive, being there. I kind of wanted to circle back unless you have some more thoughts about that. Um,
No, I just wanted to share that story and just kind of
okay.
get my thoughts off with
No, yeah,
approaching.
no, and I mean, because I feel like I want to get to with all of that we just said is how does one go from essentially doing nothing, whether it be not even going outside because they're too socially anxious, not going to the gym because they don't want to work out and it's not going to feel good. How do they approach girls because they're so terrified of women that they can't even just look at a girl without screaming or like blushing or whatever they do? Like, how do you go from being doing none of it to essentially doing all of it? And I feel like I have an analogy where sometimes you have to lead. Like when I'm leading my dog and he's scared of something, I lead him, and it takes him to where he needs to be, even though he didn't like to be there. But I want to hear your
Mm.
thoughts on how to get out of that comfort zone.
My answer is just a two-word answer. It's very simple. Do it. Whatever it is that you're afraid of, do it. How can you ever learn to play basketball if you never go to the court? How can you learn? I mean, you can apply this to anything. How can you learn to cook if you say, I want to get better at cooking, but your girlfriend cooks every single night and you never contribute? And you know what? If it's something fearful, like let's just say like you're scared you're going to mess up the dish, right? And something that I think is important, something that I've been working on, with myself is taking baby steps. Like if we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves. Like for example, the guy. Let's just use the dish as the example. Man, like this dish is gonna come out good, and like I'm gonna screw it all up if I like put all this stuff. If someone who has zero experience tries to do what an experienced chef does, you're gonna fuck it up. Like you're not. It just that rhythm isn't there. I mean, as human beings, naturally, and I believe every single person, no matter who it is, no matter what you're doing, has the capability to improve at anything that they just simply do. So, going back to baby steps, if cooking is what you're afraid of, don't start off with the steak. Don't start off with making the pasta. Or maybe instead of like doing the cooking part, doing the sautéing, what if you just put some pepper on this time, right? Just just a little bit of pepper, and the dish comes out great. But you had a part in it. Okay, I did that right. Maybe I can put butter this time. Mix the butter, and maybe I can chop the garlic up this time. Maybe and it's like you take these small steps into improving. Like for example, like for me, what progress was just going up to girls, and I had to get over that internal hurdle first. And it's like in doing so, and I think it's important also to remain completely unattached to the outcome because you have no control over what's going to happen on the outside, right? But I think if you just, it's all, I think what's really important is where you focus your attention. It's like if you are so focused on the outcome of it, and you go out for the first time, and you go up to 5 girls and none of them like you, which I would say even for guys who are experienced, that could happen. But if you like are like if it's your first time and like it's just so nerve wracking, and you do it and you get nothing, but you're so focused on that, you're like I have to get this, then I feel like that is a great way to just dump yourself instead of bringing that attention inward and just being proud of yourself for doing that. Like the thing is that that's the one thing that nobody, no matter what, a girl could have thrown a fucking drink in a guy's face. She could have called him this. She could have like gave him this really ugly look. But no matter what those girls did, they can't take away from the fact that he leaned into his fear. And it takes, no matter what, no matter how you write it, it takes courage. It takes courage to do anything that you're, but that's how we ended up where we are today as a civilization. That's how business owners create their businesses. That's how so many of the biggest bodybuilders. I've heard stories about how a lot of them started working out because they were insecure. It's a very common thing. But look where they got by just leaning into that, by being okay with looking stupid to other people. Because I think that's where most of the fear comes from. Like, you don't fear going up to a girl because, like, you fear going up to a girl. You fear going up to a girl because of what you think, the reaction you think you're going to get from her. You're leading into a potential rejection. When you go to the gym, you lean into the possibility of being judged. And these things again, they're just external, but like they're to focus on the outside. But I believe, and I've through I can speak for myself. I can only speak for myself as far as my experience, and I'm pretty sure people could relate to this. But it's like even that night when I didn't get any girls, the nights where I had my fucking survey going around, fucking hey, strawberry or grape, okay, strawberry, okay,
Strawberry girl. Okay.
cherry, okay, cherry. Oh, you're a little different, huh? You know,
Ricky. Ricky.
but
Ricky. Cherry girl. Okay.
yeah, yeah, but like after like that night, even though I didn't get anything, I was just proud of myself that I did it. And it's like one of those things where it's like you do it, you lean into it, and you realize like I'm okay. I'm still fucking here. All right, let's try this again next week. Let's see. And the thing is, and I've learned this through, of course, my other experiences as well. Perfect example. Perfect example. I'm gonna use another personal example. So I was doing door knocking sales for about a year and a half, and at the beginning, it was so intimidating because all these thoughts about like, oh man, like I'm bothering them, and in that thought alone, it's like I'm like focused on what they're thinking, their feelings, their emotions. I'm already imagining creating monsters for myself in my mind now. They're gonna think I'm bothering them. They're gonna think that I'm annoying. Um, I'm gonna look desperate because I'm going to people's doors for like, oh, they're not gonna trust me. Oh, potential negative outcome, and then and it was scary. But I knew that the only way that I'm gonna get better at this, like, okay, it's really all right. This is uncomfortable. Imagine if I was like, all right, this is uncomfortable. This could all happen. I'm not even going to go knock doors because they could think all this stuff about me. But in pushing through it, in doing it, and going out every single day, knocking on the doors, taking a deep breath before every single person comes out, doing my best to calm myself down. After a little while, because you get a lot of no's doing sales, and that can be very, very defeating too. But if you stay consistent, consistency is huge. Oh, a yes comes around. It took me 3 months, 3 months to get my first sale, do it in roofing. But once you get that first one, the way that I had this strength coach back in El Paso, who I believe that he definitely instilled a lot of good, strong values and beliefs in me. And one thing that he would always do is he was so mentally, he helped create so much mental strength for everyone that he trained, bro, because he would challenge you so hard. And what's something that in the gym that you can be really scared of as far as training? What's something that can be very intimidating?
In terms of like,
Just in you yourself training. Like imagine there's nobody around. Like what's something that could be very intimidating?
when do you handle injury?
Correct. Yes, that's exactly where I was going with this. So we would every single Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Monday was a or Tuesday was a arm day. Thursday was leg day, and every single day to start out our workouts, we would always bench and we would always squat, depending on the day. And every single day, we would always go to our max. We would always like see where our max is at. If of course like our body was able to handle it at the time. He wasn't just stupid about it. He was very mindful about, if something's just like not feeling right, then don't take it easy. But most of the time, everybody was good. But there were some times where someone would be um, getting a chance to get a new PR. Let's just say someone has been benching 225, had a max of 225 on bench for like a few weeks now. All right, 235, 240, or 230, a PR. And it's so funny how like someone can do 225, and the second that 230 comes on, it's like your mind can start to play some games with you. Oh, that's a little bit more weight. And what I always saw that his name was Oren, my strength coach. So what happened was that someone would go for it, and then they wouldn't get it, but he knew like they could. He's like, go rest, and then we're gonna try again. And he would always talk so much shit. He was, oh, you fucking pussy, like, kind of like, but it was out of love all the time, So there was a lot of like, pressure. And so what would happen was is that so many times, that person would try it again, and they get it. And then Oren would look at him and say, "Why didn't you do that the first time?" And we kind of would just sit there. We kind of just nod our head, and sometimes you kind of laugh about it. But what he was saying was that like, and what he said, I believe a part of his message too that he would tell us was that like if you can do it once, you can do it a million times. So going back to dating and girls and sales. Oh yeah, actually I was talking about sales before this. It's like when that first sale hit, it's like if I can do it once, I can do it again. If I can get this girl's number once, I can do it again. If I can hit this PR, I can do it again. So, I mean, I think just in that example of my strength coach, how someone who will try a PR twice will miss it the first time, but get it the second time. It's a perfect example of showing that first time you could have done it, but what was in the way? It was that fucking mind right there. It was your mind. It was your mind that got in the way because No one else, not even the weight, let it. You let it. You let your mind get in the way of you getting this PR. You let your mind get in the way of thinking that you can go get that girl's number. You let your mind get in the way of going to the gym. We all have our challenges. We all have things that are hard for us. Something that I've been just telling myself over and over again the past few days actually is like anything that is really challenging, really hard, scares the shit out of me, it fucking, I don't know, worries me or whatever, that's my work. That's my work. Because you know what? It's so easy for me to sit here in my room, be on Netflix, go through Instagram, and just make excuses as to why I can't go get girls. Make excuses as to why this won't work or that won't work. But what does that do? I'll never know. And the thing is that in the few weeks that we've been doing this, and not just between you and I, but in my own personal life, I'm understanding, god damn, how fucking wrong I am. How wrong I can be. You'll think you know everything. You'll think that if I go out to the bars, there's not a single girl who's gonna look at me and like me. When I go to the gym, oh my god, everyone's gonna judge me. Oh, there's no way I can get this PR. That last one is I barely get that last one. But you create that mental prison for yourself. You put yourself in there. But what's the way to get out of that, Andrew? By fucking doing it. Sorry, we were gonna say more.
Just no doing it. That got me motivated over here. To be honest, I was like, whoa. Um. Oh yeah, man. I feel like just doing it and taking that, like what you said, the mental strength that someone has in order to do it, and that courage and that bravery to um, take the fear and face it and run towards it versus running away from it. And I was gonna say that um, when doing so with that mental strength, you like you said it here that most of your problems in your head. And I think some Greek philosopher said it. I think it was Seneca, but he was like 95% of your problems are in your imagination. And you saying that right now, it was just like, wow, that totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. Like you expect like an outcome, and I don't know why. Maybe it's a weak mind, or maybe a non-developed mind.
Is this still going?
It's still going on my end.
How many? How? Oh my god.
37-16, 37-18.
Okay, my shit. I just got a phone call right now, and mine restarted.
Okay, you're still with me. I believe you're good on my end. I don't know.
Okay, let's just keep going.
Okay, I'll tell you if anything happens. But when you have maybe a weak mind or maybe non-conditioned to hard mind, maybe a little bit easier on the comfort. Maybe you think, why does it like you immediately think, or maybe everyone thinks that is that why does everyone think like someone's gonna judge me or someone like now when I go to the gym I don't feel judged. I don't feel like I care about anyone's opinion. I'm like I'm here to do me. But like I remember in the beginning it was definitely terrifying and like oh, they're gonna think I'm skinny. They're gonna think I'm underweight. They're gonna think that like he doesn't belong here. I mean, again, like you said with the baby steps, like I took it. One day I went with a friend and I was like, okay, and we went slow. And then second day we went, and then I remember the day I went by myself and I was like super like fuck, I'm gonna do this. And you do that 1-2 and you're out and you're in that in the building in the gym with the girl at the job whatever it is. It's like that 1-2, and you hit it. And that's what I've been noticing too. Because personally, I have a story as well in terms of doing the hard things. Is that with my boss? I mean, every single time I would ask him a question, it never got easier. it never got easier. It was always so tough to ask him a question because you knew you were going to hear something. Sometimes it was out of love, but other times I couldn't judge. I couldn't judge what he was. Was it just because he was angry at the time, or just saying it because he wants to get mad at you, or just get you wild,
Riled up.
but riled up? And so I would think okay. I remember sitting at my desk and I'm like, all right, let's do it now. And I would go up to him. And honestly, it was pretty bad, not gonna lie, every single time I went up. But the fact that I would face it, knew that I could do it. Like you said earlier, you're like, I can do it. And then you're like, I can do it again. And I can do it again. And slowly but surely, after tough times that you deal with, you get better at it. And you kind of feel more comfortable being around the uncomfortable. I remember at the beginning I was very squeamish, very like moving, fidgeting, everything, and I'm pretty sure they can read that. Anyone can read that.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to girls, it's like they can read that.
Mm-hmm.
But then eventually it got to a point where I was like, you know, great eye contact, not moving, direct, firm, chest out, speak with the chest. And the more I did it like that, I feel like the more respect I got when I was saying it. It was a weird, what I thought was I guess a paradox. So you think if you're going to be more assertive, they're probably going to be more assertive back, or they're going to be more mean back. And every time I was more assertive, I felt like I was respected versus just getting taken advantage of, basically.
Right.
And I feel like that created my mental strength. And now we're here. And I feel like without that foundation that I got, I wouldn't be here.
Where did that start?
The foundation, the groundwork of mental strengthness or strength.
Yeah. Would you say that started in the gym, or would you say that started in other aspects of your life as well?
I noticed it in multiple areas, but I noticed the final boss was my boss.
Mm. That's
Yeah,
funny.
because I didn't care about the gym. I didn't care as much about what other people thought about me in terms of my friends or whatever. But then with my boss, I remember it was just he's gonna think I'm stupid. He's gonna think I'm stupid. He's gonna think I'm stupid. But then at the back of my head, I was like, well, obviously you don't know anything. This is a new job for you. It doesn't take 3 days to understand transmission line engineering. You're gonna ask stupid questions.
Right.
Yeah, no, slowly but surely I understood how to take it and not fold. Don't, cry, or don't fold under pressure. Don't take it personally, and just roll with it. Just roll with it.
See that right there. That in that sums up in a nutshell of what I was talking about earlier. Is that's just not personal. Well, okay. Yes and no. If I'm really thinking about everything, because if you were to always go very well, even then, even in that case, if you were to always go very rigid or very timid, if you were to always go very timid and insecure and head down, like, and then you always get told no, I think in that case, okay, it is a little personal. Like, not as in how he's treating you as personal. It's the results that you're getting is results of what you're doing personally. Of course, them saying no to that, you shouldn't take that personal. A girl rejecting you, you shouldn't take that personal. But I always like to think that the way that I see it is if you're constantly receiving failure, if you're always failing all the time. See, I don't even want to say that, because the thing is I've heard stories of, for example, Colonel Sanders, who failed. He actually door knocked. He would like go to people and try to sell him his chicken, and a lot of people told him that, fuck off. But I'm sure a lot of people did tell him that, oh, this is good shit, But he didn't get any big offers. And then I think it's J.K. Rowling who Harry Potter was denied. Like I think by, if I read this correctly, I might be butchering this by over like 100 publishing companies or publishing firms or whatever you call them. She was, yeah, she failed all these times, but so it does go back to not taking things personal, because Colonel Sanders and J.K. Rowling, through all of it, never took it personal.
Mm.
Because, and this is what I was gonna say about well, I guess it just goes into what I forgot. I thought was like whatever. Anyways, they never took it personal, because no matter what happened on the outside, on the inside, they believed in themselves. Fucking Colonel Sanders got 100 no's, but he was like, you know what? My chicken's fucking bomb. Fuck you. J.K. Rowling told all those no's. Fuck you. Fucking Harry's about to turn the fuck up.
Yo, Wizard Harry. Some bullshit like that.
Like, this is a good fucking story. I don't care what you say. This is good. And that stems from that place of belief. And it's like, belief, man, believing in yourself. That, it's like no one, again, going back to approaching those girls, and maybe you got all no's, but you had that internal, like, you were proud of yourself. And I'm sure that you, in going up to your boss, even like those first times, and even though maybe it didn't go great, but you were still proud of yourself, right? And that's something that no one can take away from you, but that internal belief is something that absolutely nobody can take from you.
That's good that you say that, because I feel like that, I think, and right now I'm thinking that is the secret. Because when you believe in yourself, you're essentially saying to the world is that I have something that's valuable, right? Whether it be yourself, your ideas, your thoughts. You're like, I'm a valuable person and I am not willing to take this offer from you. I want this offer. You're willing to like negotiate things. You're willing to have a say, even though like J.K. Rowling, 1,000 no's or 100 no's, she was like, I feel like there's something worth here. It comes back to she believed in herself like a lot. I mean, to just take 10 no's, you already feel defeated. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that no one can take that away, like you said, the key, I think, because there's just so many times where you care about people or care about what they think and care about like just so much nonsense in your head that you're just like, what is this gonna feel? And I feel like that affects your self worth. That affects believing in yourself, because you're just like, this person said this about me, and it was a negative thing. And okay, maybe like you said, if it's a real personal thing, maybe that's something that you have to change. And that's why I think learning about criticism and understanding criticism and understanding where they're coming from, always asking like, okay, what did you mean by this? Versus just taking it personal, taking it to whatever it meant in your head. Because if you ask, okay, well, they tell you, hey, when you come up to me, you're timid, and then you start thinking, they probably think I'm lonely, I'm a introvert. I can't talk to people. I have so much social anxiety. Oh God, everything is so bad. But then if you just ask them like, okay, what do you mean by timid? And like, oh, it's just that like you do this like body language that comes off as timid, and literally the fix is right there. It's like I just fixed not biting my nails when I go up to you, or the fix is turning my back to you when I'm talking to you when I need to face like the person I'm talking to you. Okay, versus in your head now you're thinking there's like these multiple possibilities of what it could be. When you just ask, it's like, oh, that's what it is. And then you go, if it's not fixable, or it's something that you believe that you like about yourself, then you just, if you have that self worth, you can just throw it away, recycle bin, toss, Kobe. You know what I mean? Type shit. Like, I just feel like it's not keeping it true and finding yourself.
Yeah.
Helps a lot. So, but I also believe that it is something you learn as well. I don't think everyone, like, I mean, as a teenager, you remember as a teenager you think everyone hates you, or everyone thinks about you, like, well, they're gonna think I'm gonna wear this, or they're not gonna like this. And like now if you think about it, you're like, what were those thoughts? Why was I thinking that?
Why do you think we think that?
Like, as kids.
Yeah.
Well, I believe since we have less experiences, we are more fearful, more anxious. Our hormones are very rapid at that time, and we are actually, some people did not look good as kids. I was one of them, unfortunately.
Look good now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You look great over there.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna make me come down there right now.
Mm.
And or you don't find yourself, and it's because sometimes it does take longer to find yourself. I've seen, like, what I went through is you care too much. But I think when it comes down to is maybe they are actually ugly, and maybe they are or not. They don't believe in themselves, and they have like hormones raging, pimples everywhere. Changes are always happening.
Right.
But what do you think? I wanna ask you.
About why kids are like that?
Yeah.
Well, I definitely do think that it has a lot to do with conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Parents growing up, they always tell us, do this, don't do that. And oftentimes they say, do this, don't do that, in order to be socially acceptable, socially accepted. Like, for example, if you're a kid, you're having a fucking temper tantrum when you're screaming, they tell you, don't do that. Right? And oftentimes, like I think many times too, when they tell you don't do that, when you get a little older, perhaps they'll give it like an explanation. Oh, don't do that. Like, people are going to think this. Don't do that. People are going to think that. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Like, you're going to look so good. And it's like, think about where that attention is. The attention isn't on the person. It's like, don't do that because of something on the outside. There's a negative consequence to what you're doing outside of you. So, yeah, after hearing that for years and years and years and years and years, and I think this is how most parents operate, and they don't do it on purpose. It's perhaps how it's just how they were raised and how their parents were raised, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I think it's just how we're brought up. We're taught. Our parents do their best to teach us the best way to have us be acceptable in society. Because imagine if you're a kid and then like you can't. It's it's rude to imagine growing up. You're a child and you like to get your if you guys eat chicken, you guys eat drum bones, right? And you fucking pick up two of them and you just start fucking making the table of your own fucking drum set.
Yeah, you're
There's fucking
like
chicken flying everywhere. There's fucking skin over there and
you're looking
fucking.
like Colonel Sanders when he first made his 12 herbs and spices. You know what I mean?
Say that again.
You're looking like Colonel Sanders when he's making his first 12 herbs and spices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fuck. Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So like, as a child, you that was a fake laugh. I fake laughed. I'm calling myself out on that because I don't want to do that anymore.
Okay.
I'm putting that for the world to see. Sometimes Isaac fake laughs.
We did fake laugh right there.
Because Isaac puts pressure on himself to laugh at things for an outside reason.
And it was a bad joke. So
Oh my god. See, like, what I just did right there.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna, take it back to myself some more. Like, and I do this to myself, and I don't know why I started doing this, but oh yeah, I know why. I started fake laughing because I wanted. There's a tension that I'm uncomfortable with, and like not like that tension of when someone makes a bad joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and if it's just me and them, sometimes I'll fake laugh because I don't want to create that discomfort within them. But that's not my responsibility, though. That's not my job to do that. And for some reason, I've taken that on. It definitely comes from a place of people pleasing.
Conditioning, maybe too.
Definitely conditioning, I think. And it's funny. I didn't really start doing that until the past few years, but I'm doing it a lot less now. Again, so going back to our initial point, like there was times where I was like really scared to like just sit with that discomfort of like not laughing at a joke that was just told to me. The first few times it's really hard because I don't know why. Every time that someone makes a joke with me and I don't laugh, I feel like I'm being a dick. But I'm doing that to myself. But I'm noticing that I'm getting better at it. But why am I getting better at it? Because I'm fucking doing it. I'm making a conscious effort of leaning into that discomfort of not laughing at people's jokes if I don't think they're funny. Yeah, I don't. I think it also definitely comes from a place of wanting to be liked, which really stems from a place of just craving connection. You know, and there's this. I know I'm kind of going on a little bit of a tangent over here, but there's this saying that I heard that I really that really stuck with me is that, and looking back at my childhood, I was a very attention seeking child. Middle school and high school, I would always do the most. And as I grew up, I started to feel like shame around that because it's like, oh, this little like attention seeker. But I saw this quote and it said that attention seeking is connection seeking. And in the house that I grew up in, I never really felt like I was accepted for who I was. I was always very different. Like my brothers were super athletic and good at everything, and I kind of was like the I feel like I was like really goofy, nerdy. I like other shit. I like what else did I like? I didn't like physical contact sports. I liked more like soccer. I just didn't feel like I was valued as much for that, and I felt very alone growing up that way. And I've dug into myself. I'm like, why was I an attention seeker? And I think it's because I didn't feel like I was getting the full attention and validation from my parents. So, that manifested in me being very, very, we could say crazy. I did a lot of, in middle school, I did so, like, I would do the stupidest shit. Like, bro, I would fucking fart, like, so loud in class. And then when I would do it, I would fucking angle my ass to where I could get the loudest fart. And then I would fucking fart. And then, like, I would be the only one laughing.
Damn. Well, yeah, no, I mean, that's funny, but yeah, I'd be pissed if I was sitting right next to you.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said with this podcast, I want it to be raw.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I want to do is be fake. And I think that faking laughing is fake.
Mm-hmm.
Like a laugh is so much better when it just comes out genuinely.
Right. Absolutely.
And a smile, it's like like forcing a smile. See, there's an energy to that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I kind of feel it like around here, like where it's just like you're not doing it right. It's not coming from a place of authenticity. It's just there.
Yes. Yeah, dude. I'll. So what I started noticing a few years ago, and I like to think that this is like my, because I started to go inward now, and I feel like the more that you go inward, like everything's connected. There's the mind and the body are connected with each other, right? And I would even like I want to even throw the soul in there too. The mind, soul, and body are all connected. So like for example, like if you have a bunch of insecure thoughts, what does your body do?
Like tense up, stress, uh, starts creating problems.
Right, and like you walk around like your shoulders will be a little bit more slumped. You keep your head down. You won't speak very loud. That's coming from the mind body connection. But when you're confident, shoulders back, chest out, smiling a lot more, genuinely smiling a lot more. Your voice sounds there's more bass to it. And one thing I was noticing is in the search for authenticity within myself, just slowly over time, slowly, whenever I was like smiling at people, but like not but fake smiling, I would notice that like the end of my mouth would kind of like quiver and like kind of like vibrate and kind of like almost like try to bring itself down. And I was like, why? I was like, why is that happening? Because I never have experienced that before. But I like to believe that, because my mind, I've attuned it to like seeking much more true authenticity within myself. My body's just catching up. And yeah, so, and I think it's also important for me to like just put it out there, like, call yourself out when you're not being how you believe you should be,
Yeah.
just like face it, because, and the way that I see it is like, if you do something once, just like the fucking maxing out and shit.
Yep.
Just like how you go about girls. It's like if you do it once, you're probably gonna do it again. So yeah, so I'm gonna apologize to you for fake laughing at your joke that I didn't really find that funny.
No, yeah, no, yeah. I like the 15-minute explanation on on the bad joke, but I mean, hey, but that's part of it, and like what you said, you felt discomfort. I felt discomfort because also maybe I'm expecting a reaction of I thought that was funny, so someone else is gonna find that funny, and when you did it, that was a big like, whoa, this is uncomfortable. Like this is a territory I've never been in because I mean, I've had people not laugh at my jokes, but I've never had on a podcast someone not laugh at my joke. And so I thought that was like a whole new level for me, but I feel like that's needed. You know what I mean? And it teaches me like that wasn't a good joke, but just move on. You know what I mean? I mean, what else can you do? So it's just like I don't think you should fake laugh, right? Like I don't think it's appropriate because when you do it and you just feel like this, yeah, like you said that discomfort, and you're just like, whoa, that wasn't me, and like you stop for a second and you're like, that's not me, and like we're trying to be more authentic on this podcast, so yeah, no, I like that you came out and said that. That's actually brave, and I like that 15-minute explanation of how bad that joke was, but nah, just kidding.
Yeah. No, that joke was fucking terrible.
Yeah, no, I'm really hoping for a short on that one. A real, bro, just straight up. And, but yeah, but like going to that is that discomfort that you feel, and you notice it with people. You notice it. You just put it away. You put it aside, and like again, like you said, maybe to be liked, maybe to be um conditioned to do it, and for the most part, yes, at the moment it's like a band-aid. It does work in the short term. It's like, okay, I laughed, whatever. Think of it as a band-aid. It worked. It patched up the conversation. We didn't go through anything discomfort, or we did it and we put a band-aid on it and we forgot about it. But Right now, you like essentially ripped off that band-aid. You said, "Wait, hold on, hold on. There's something underneath all of that that requires my attention fully. Like something that didn't sit right, and it hurts in a way. Discomfort. It hurts." And you ripped it off, and what I was gonna go with that is that, so I've noticed sometimes in conversation with anyone, or if you didn't hear something that wanted to hear from someone, like say for example, they delay your food somewhere, and you're trying to be nice. You know how you do that little, no, no, it's okay, I'm fine, and like sometimes you are fine. It's like, okay, I don't give a fuck if I have to wait 5 more minutes.
Right.
But say for example, you're waiting 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and you still go, no, 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 it's okay. You feel it. You feel it in like right here. You feel it in that chest. You're like, ooh, wow, I'm actually really pissed right now. But I went, no, 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 it's okay.
Yeah.
And I remember even after like the conversation, I would not overthink it, but it would replay in my mind. I'm like, wow, I really just kind of suck it up. I sucked it up and just went with it. And that's not how I was feeling in the moment. And I wanted to express it to him, but I was too scared, or I didn't want to cause a scene, or it was just not the right moment. And like when you do that, I think that builds a little bit of resentment. And maybe it's a
Mm.
small thing, and maybe this is an example that's just too small to like ever. But I have thought about like things like this. Where a good example is, I remember I was gonna get an oil change in Denton, and a lot of people know about this story. A lot of my friends, but they essentially, I went to go get the oil change. They're like, okay, it's gonna be about 30 minutes. Boom, they get it done, and so I get in my car, I drive home, and I'm like, oh, okay, $70, whatever. I get home, and I notice my hood is open, and it's like just slightly cracked, like right here, slightly open. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I never noticed this before. Like, I'm like, okay, well, let me close it. Maybe they forgot to close it. So I close it, and then it pops right back up. And I'm
Mm.
like, holy shit. I was like, I was trying to figure out what it was, and apparently they chipped off something that didn't hook right. So I was pissed, and I remember like, yeah, being really pissed. And I'm like, what do I do? Like, I didn't notice this. So I go back and I'm like, hey guys, I didn't notice this when I left. You guys had my hood. Like my hood wasn't like this before I came to the oil change, and now it's like this. And I'm wondering if y'all can just fix it. And so they try to fix it, and they're like, we can't seem to fix it. And they're like, if you want to like come back Friday, I believe we can try to fix it. So I come back Friday, and they just like totally forgot, and they're like, yeah, we can't fix it. And so like I got pissed, but I went home. And I
Mm.
remember as I was going home, I was like, I didn't stick up for myself. I didn't say what was on my mind. I didn't say that I was feeling so furious that y'all messed up my hood, that y'all essentially ruined my car. It's still ruined to this day.
Right.
I was like, I'm so pissed. So I went back the next day, and I blew up. I blew up. I was so pissed. I was like, excuse me, guys. Like, can I get like the manager here, because my hood is still broken. Y'all said you would fix it, and it's not fixed. Can I at least get a refund for the oil change? Y'all didn't make it. Um, y'all didn't make it clear to me how you guys can make it up. Like y'all are just sitting here and doing nothing while my hood is broken. Y'all broke it. And so they're like, well, the manager's not here. You can get on the phone call with her. And she was like, how do you know you didn't break it? Oh, she was, and I was not at that point to handle that. So I was like cussing her out, telling her all these things, like, this is the worst, this is the worst place ever, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bad, but like I blew up on her. And like, I feel like if I could have handled it with a little bit more assertiveness at the beginning, it would have been well, maybe, I don't know, maybe it would not have been a good story, but I think it irked me, and it irked my core that I didn't say anything when it needed to be said.
Mm.
But I was glad that I said what I said eventually.
Mm. Right. Well, I just want to say that I think that that's awesome, and I'm happy for you that you went back and you said you spoke your truth in talking about all this, and talking about getting angry. It's funny because I just had a moment the other night with my brother where I blew up. Something that, and it was something that I had been upset about for a while. You know, you were talking about the example of if your food isn't ready or takes time. Like, do you have an example with that where you got upset?
Yeah. But those are like the simple like, hey, I ordered this 10 minutes ago, or where is it at? And usually they're like, oh, it's in the back. We can get it out for you. And like it's sometimes weird because they literally like do it faster or they get it right away, and it's like I have to do that.
After you call them out.
Yes, after I call them out.
It's like when that happens, this is what I think. When that happens, I think, what if I would have never said anything? You know, why does it take that for that to happen? Sometimes perhaps it's coincidental. You know, I
And
feel like people, it's like that. They don't like that discomfort, so they'll like. I feel like I'm realizing this a lot about people is that a lot of times people, even when you bring tension to them, they'll even like kind of like try to find ways to get away from it, stay around it, and like they'll do that. Unfortunately, a lot of people will do that through lying, and that is something that bothers me. You know, I don't appreciate that when someone just doesn't. And again, it's something not to take personal because that's their own stuff. Like they don't deal with. The belief would be that they don't deal with tension well. That's not my problem, but they don't deal with tension well themselves in their own life. You know, but it's like it's this paradox of like in going to the tension, leaning into the fear. As I'm seeing what this podcast is going to be, what we might name it. It's like you think in leaning into the fear, you're going to get a negative outcome. But in leaning into the fear and doing the hard thing, what you do is you earn respect, you get what you want, and I'll say this: you earn respect from others, you get what you want, and you earn respect for yourself. And that's why it's important to lean into things that scare you. Because even if you don't get respect from others, even if you think you don't get respect from others, even if you don't get exactly what you wanted, that third thing you will always get. And in doing that, in going to go talk to those people at the oil change place, sure, maybe you didn't get what you wanted. Maybe they don't respect you, but you earned a point of respect from yourself.
Hmm.
Fuck this. I'm gonna tell these motherfuckers what's on my mind. And that you carry that. Now, imagine if you would have never done that.
Yeah, yeah. And, I mean, there's been so many times like where, and that's where it gets kind of tricky. Is that, say after a bar, remember back from college days, after the bars, and everyone's deciding who's gonna go home with who. People are flirting, and I don't know why there would always be like people that are just ready to fight or what it was, but like I remember it being this one dude, and I was talking to this girl, and I saw her outside, and she was in this group, and I was like, "Oh, hey, do you remember me?" Blah blah blah. And she's like, "Oh yeah," like, "Oh, like, okay, yeah, let me just get your number." Blah blah all that. And then this guy goes, "Nah, she's coming home with me." And I was like, "Holy shit, what the fuck?" I was like, "Who are you?" Hold on. I look back and like, he's like, "Yeah, she's going home with me." And I was like, "Oh, is that what you said?" And so like it's getting tense. It's getting, it's those are some fighting words right there. Those are definitely some fighting words. It's tension. And at that time, I was just like, I'm just gonna let it go. I'm just gonna let it go. I mean, like, I don't really care. Like, this is just too much effort on my part, but I'm just gonna let it go. But I mean, at the same time, like, there's like a thought in your head where you're like, well, what if, like, what I felt weak. I felt like I didn't say what I wanted to say, or yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
So that perfectly goes into what I wanted to talk about earlier when you brought up the food situation. And it's funny because this goes into what I had thought about this past weekend. Um, so I'll use a personal example. I was at the bars watching the UFC fights, and I was sitting down in this booth, and there were TVs everywhere, but there was one big one that was right in front of me. Throughout the night, some people would just like get in front, and I would politely be like, "Excuse me, can you, you know?" And I did it with like a lot of people. Like, "Excuse me." Sometimes I'd be fucking like, "Yo," it was because it was loud as fuck and they couldn't hear me.
And then there.
So I get up and if they didn't hear me after like fucking 4 times, I get up and be like, "Hey, I'm sitting right here, clean." And it was uncomfortable sometimes. But it's like, I mean, honestly, I didn't. Even though it was uncomfortable, I didn't give a shit. It's like there was that part of my mind that was like, I mean, is this rude for me to ask them? Like, is that a common standing area? No, but regardless, it was in front of where I was sitting. And so I was asking everybody to move, and then there's this one guy that comes around, and he's I'm like, "Yo," like fucking 4 times, doesn't fucking hear me. So I get up and I go and I'm like, "Hey, bro, like, can you? I'm sitting right here. Like, can you move?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm waiting for my boy. I'll be gone like in like a. He's like, I forgot if he said like a minute or 5 minutes. I think he said a minute. He's like, "Yeah, my boy's in the bathroom. I'll move in a minute." And a part of me was like, the fuck? Like, you can't just step to the side? But then I thought about it. Like, I was just like, whatever. Like I'm gonna wait and see if he moves first. Because if he like would have just sat there, then I would have been like, you said you were gonna move. But I just sat there and I was just patient. And I was like, you know what? I'll look around him just for the minute that he told me. And I'm sitting and I'm watching. And then like a minute later, his buddy comes out. It wasn't exactly a minute. It was like maybe like 2-3 minutes, but like a minute. Like his buddy comes out and he leaves, and I was like, a part of me appreciated that because I was like, okay, he basically like he kept his word. He's like, my buddy's gonna be gone in a minute. He didn't say that and was there for like 10-20 minutes. That would have been to me lying, disrespectful. And a part of me, like when I like that night, I was like, or I was talking to my brother about it, and he was like, I don't know, I would have said something. And but then I was like, I don't think that was the right move to make. Because the thing is, the way that I see it, the thing is that this guy, first of all, we're at a bar. I don't know who this person is. In talking to him, I did feel like it's like if someone isn't gonna move, there's a level of pride that's there. I believe a level of ego that's there. And the way that I saw it is like in that moment. Again, if he wouldn't have moved, I would have said something again to him. But in that moment, I kind of took a snapshot. I was like, okay, do I want to get into a scuffle with someone from the bar who isn't moving 2 feet to the right so I can watch this fight. When there's a TV right there, TV right there, TV right there, TV right there. Regardless, that's the TV that I wanted to watch, right? But in that moment, it's like you calculate. It's like, is this a battle that I should pick? And in the moment, I just didn't feel the need to. It's like, all right, if this guy is that prideful, it's like the way that I thought about it is like if I would have just told him something, it probably would have been like a back and forth. Like if he's that stubborn about moving, and I call him out about it, he probably would just like stay on that. Like that's my assumption, of course. Um, but yeah, it's like picking and choosing those battles. Like with that guy at the bar, I would argue, I would say that that's not worth it. Some random chick, when there's fucking in abundance, one cute girl, and like you remembered her and shit, and you did what any guy would do. You fucking held me, pulled up. That was a callback to your shit.
No, I don't like
You like that?
apparently you didn't like my callback, but
Sorry, bro.
it's okay. Hey, that's life. Keep saying no and I'll say yes. But
That last laugh was a little bit. It was like half,
hmm,
half funny and half like not. But it was
that's
half.
okay.
I'm calling myself out.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not saying anything about. I'm not like.
it's funny. Like I'm trying to like I could read it, or now that I see a fake laugh, maybe I'm like I saw that little half, maybe what you meant by the half.
You felt that time?
Yeah,
Yeah, I bet you. I bet you in the audio when we listen, it's like it's not as rich.
yeah,
It sounds more flat. You know? Yeah, I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad that we're
yeah.
calling this shit out.
I
It's
agree.
it's gonna stop. But that was another one right there too. But anyways, yeah. Anyways, like you pull up, like you did like what any guy would do. Is like you went up to a girl who you knew, who you know you see a chance with, and this fucker is like, was he even with her?
Bro, no, I mean it was funny because so we were dancing like earlier in the night, and like we were like dancing practically the whole night from what I remember, and then like we everyone goes outside because the bars are closed and like everyone's talking. I call that like the war zone. I feel like it just like everyone's like, we gotta go, come on, let's go. You know what I mean? I was I saw her because we were in another group, and then I saw her like out there talking to this other group. I'm like, hey, I know you, and I went up to her again. I was like, hey, I know you. I was like, I didn't get your number, blah blah. Let's talk more and stuff like that. And so, and then as doing that, like, I'm facing her, like I just hear, nah, bro, she's coming home with me, and I'm like, oh, that's that. And then that, and I remember like we were like, he said something else, and I said something else, and then I was just like, I'm gonna let this go. I'm just gonna.
Right. So you saw it escalating with some random guy. Like for what?
Yeah.
For yeah, for what? You get in a fight. You don't know if he has a blade. You don't know if he has a gun. You know, fucking, you knock him out. He knocks you out. Like for you didn't know this guy 2 minutes ago. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I think that was smart. I think that was smart. Like I was thinking like if it was like some guy that she knew, or like some
Yeah.
guy that was already like they were dating. Like I'd be like, oh, but like,
Yeah.
but in that
Maybe.
moment, it's just like that's a guy who's like looking for trouble, bro.
Yeah.
From the sound of it.
And maybe he knew her, but like it just didn't like I don't think he would have said that if he knew her. Like I think he would have said like, hey, that's my girl, or hey, that's my friend, girlfriend's friend, or like she's coming home with us because I'm the DD. I don't know. It just didn't seem like he knew her. So I was just like, oh, is that so? And he did not like that.
But I bet that felt good to say that though.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah, see, so like there's this. This goes into like my next point. Before I say it, what are we at right now? Time we had almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, we're at hour 25.
Okay, I guess we can close out on this then. But one thing that I thought about in all of this, talking about anger, talking about leaning into tension with people, leaning into confrontation. Going back to, and the first thought that came up to my mind about this was when you were talking about the food example, like you're pissed. This actually goes back to even talking about approaching women. It's not about expressing yourself. I think it's about how you express yourself as well. That should be very much taken into account. How, and then of course there's the balance of like, is this worth my time or is it not? Having patience. Like me, I get impatient after a level of this is ridiculous. Like 5-10 minutes waiting for my food, I might get like a little bit like, especially if I like ordered it to be placed at that time. 5-10 minutes, eh, you know. But like 15-20, like okay, what's going on? And I'm not saying that I know how to deal with these things the best. Just in my mind, I just a part of me is also like, just be patient. Just be patient with this person. Do I have to call them out on this? Going back to picking and choosing your battles. Let me ask you this. When you cuss that woman out, and you may have said this a little bit earlier, how did that feel afterwards? After like it's settled with yourself.
Again, I respect myself that I said what's on my mind, and maybe, but then here's the maybe part, maybe not how I wanted it to go down. Like, maybe you want to be assertive, but you don't want it to come out like you're a bad shit crazy human being.
Right. We could say what you were saying. You were angry, and you're angry. I believe was you being angry was definitely justified, especially if they're giving you that runaround. Oh, it was especially. Oh my god, if they said that you did it, that's just fucked up. That's like, and that's manipulation, downright. That's fucking gaslighting in a way. Like, yeah, that's fucking gaslighting.
No, yeah. I even told them, hey, check the cameras. I want you to check the cameras because I want to see if it wasn't y'all. Like, I'm totally fine with that. But you know, I went from one to the next, and my hood was never like that until then. Cause and effect. I was like, okay. I was like, Can you please check the cameras?
Right. Yeah, I was more so focusing on the whole like how you went about the conversation with the manager on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I've done this, and I literally just did this the other day. I was very angry about something, and I blew up. Um, and I'm learning now that it's so much more powerful. And you can get the same message across, if not a better one, by just. And my brother is someone who's very grounded, very calm, handles conflict very well, very emotionally intelligent, very good communicator. I think the message comes across a lot. It hits a lot more when you're just firm. But you're firm, but you're not reckless. Because in blowing up, that's an emotional state. And when we do that, I believe we try to hurt them because we feel hurt. We try to put that on them. We want them to feel what we feel. We want them to get it because we don't feel like we've been got. Like, all right, and it's like you were cool. I was cool, and then now I'm like this. Do I do I think that I think in very rare scenarios it's called for, but the way that I see it, and I'm not trying to sit here and try to like lecture you or anything. I'm like just say my thoughts on it. But it's like that's just I just know now like that's not the way to do things. And I've done that so many times before with my own parents, with people like my close friends, where I just fucking blow up. And it's like when every time I do that, I do feel like I betray myself a little bit because I allowed myself to be so emotionally stirred up. I allowed myself to be so like this thing on the outside, just like really, really like it took me to that point. And the thing is that that's something that I'm in absolute full control over. Like this thing has so much power over me, and I allowed it to breed hate within me to be given to another human being. And bro, I'm human. You're human. Like having emotions is what makes us human. You know what I mean? Um, we all have moments like that. Every single person.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that it's important that the way that I see it is like if conflict ever gets to that point, I believe that the answer isn't to even allow it. And I think if you ever get to that point, if you can't keep yourself calm, I think the best thing to do is to just walk away. And that is strength. Because you're not going to allow yourself to go to that point within yourself. You're not going to allow this outside circumstance to control you like that. You're going to say, okay, if that's how it is, fine. I'm not going to allow my internal state to be disturbed. I'm not going to allow you to bring hate out of me. Because really, like, if I do that, sure, like maybe they got the message, maybe they didn't. Some people like that. Some people they want that emotional reaction. But goddamn, is that shit powerful when you just fucking get your shit, and you just fucking leave. All right, like look him in the eye, just nod your head, and then just pick your shit up. And you know why? The thing is, bro, is that when you do that, that shit, you just created a fucking shield. What they did, that's just with them. That's their karma. She's behaving like that towards you. My belief is that's gonna come back and bite her in the ass someday. And she just did that to herself. And I have to take accountability myself and say, you know what? The times that I've blown up on people, I put that out. You know what? I might get that shit back. That karma might come back. And I did that. No matter what they did on the outside, I did that. Those are my actions. I chose to be angry. I chose to be that angry and to say all the words that I said. No matter, no matter what happened on the outside, that's my shit. And man, that's why it takes strength because when you don't get all that out, you got to sit with it. But it's energy. That's one way to put the energy out, a very reckless and careless way to put it out. But there are also other ways to put it out. There's this thing called punching bag. There's this thing called the gym. There's this thing called work. And the thing is, bro, is everything's just energy. And once you learn how to master that, nothing will control you. That is power, my friend.
So with that, I think we're gonna go ahead and close this up, and we'll end in a very powerful note, and a very uplifting note, and Y'all take it. Y'all take it where you take it and run with it. Be yourself. And we'll see you later.